First speaker I got up is Sara Nelson.
Thank you, Melvin. And happy May Day, everybody. I'm the president of the Association of Flight Attendants, CWA. And you know, when we say May Day in the airline industry around the docks, it's not necessarily a good thing. But it does get everybody's attention, doesn't it? Yay! So 133 years ago, workers stood up on an 8-day strike for the 8-hour day. There are workers who died for our rights. There are workers who died for our rights to form our unions, for working people to be able to come together and make our lives better. And I think we need to start out today with some union pride, because we couldn't be here right now. We couldn't be taking on this fight for this port. We couldn't be doing anything that we have to push our country forward for our children if it were not for our unions. So, on the count of 3, I want to hear you yell out your union. 1, 2, 3. Woo! Yeah, there's some union pride, all right. So listen, we are here to save this port, right? Yeah! We are here to tell the corporate elite that you do not control Oakland. I'm going to tell you right now, when people with money and power hear that there's going to be an airport built by them, or there is going to be a construction site near them, what do? They say, not in my backyard. They put together petitions with their corporate elite neighbors, and they call their powerful friends in the state houses and in the city halls, and they say, I am entitled to have a nice place to live. Well, let me tell you something. Workers of this country who move this country, build this country, make up America, deserve to have a nice place to live too. We deserve bread and we deserve roses too, do we not? Okay. So now all over this country, and do we have some Oakland teachers here? Okay. All over this country, teachers are showing us how it's done. There are no illegal strikes. There are only unsuccessful ones. And when people understand what's at stake, and they understand that our lives are connected, just like in this port, the jobs that this port produces loads onto trucks, where truckers move those goods to our communities, and the small businesses in our communities are able to get goods at a lower price and able to run their businesses. And we're able to get it to the people who can afford to live in this community. We're not going to push people out with high-priced condos, and we're not going to cede environmental rules that keep our community safe for our children going forward. We are connected. I will tell you, during the government shutdown, we had to understand what that fight was about. That fight was not about a wall on the southern border. That fight was about trying to make us believe that there is already a wall in this country, that we are divided. It was about driving us to the lowest common denominator. It was about privatizing everything. It was about putting control in the hands of the White House and the greedy. It was about taking away union rights. They were attacking federal workers who have union contracts. And they said, on no notice, nowhere in private industry would this happen, you'd have 60 days notice. On no notice, you're out of a job. And we don't know when you're going to come back, and we don't care. And hundreds of thousands of you are essential workers, and you have to continue to come to work to make believe for the American public that our government is still functioning. And what they were hoping was that the American public would say, these people who you have vilified, GOP, for decades as nameless, faceless bureaucrats, they were hoping that we would say, yeah, we don't need those federal workers. But instead, what the labor community did was we told the stories of the people who were out of work. And those federal unions were working overtime to tell those stories of the people who were hurt. The people who are air traffic controllers and transportation security officers and work in HUD with housing for our seniors and clean up our parks that matter for our communities. We are connected. We can't do this alone. We are totally connected. And so we told those stories, and then we said, you are not going to put us in jeopardy. As flight attendants, I can tell you what it's like to form memorials for my friends who have died in a catastrophic accident. I know what it's like to be on the investigation team to determine what rules we should put in place because those regulations were written in my friend's blood. I know what it's like to put new security in place in this country because terrorists came and claimed my friends' lives. And if we had known even 1 minute before those things happened, we would have laid down our own lives to make sure that they didn't.
Yes.
So, as 2 million people were out of work, other people were forced to come to work without pay, and the rest of us were going to work in an increasingly unsafe environment. It was time to talk about what labor was willing to do, to stand up for our sisters and brothers, to stand up for our union rights, to stand up for the basic principle that if you go to work, you get paid.
Tell the story. Tell the story.
And so we said we need to talk about all of labor joining together in a general strike to hold you accountable, Mr. Trump, for putting all of our lives on the line. And we have to know what we're willing to do to stand up for each other. You know, I think back to the Boston Marathon bombing and how the community pulled together and did things that other cities might have thought was impossible. They were on lockdown in their homes and they had their eyes everywhere. They were looking for those terrorists and then they helped each other, pull each other up and heal in that community. And since we're talking about baseball here, I'm just going to say that I am a Boston-based flight attendant, and so yes, I am a Red Sox fan. But hold on. The Red Sox had something to tell us here. Yankees suck. Okay, so David Ortiz stood in the middle of Fenway Park, in the middle of that effort to pull that community together and pull everyone back up and work together. You know what he said? Oh, all right. What? He said, "This is our fucking city." And I'm going to tell you something. With that sense of urgency, with that sense of calling, it is time for Oakland to say, "This is our fucking city." So, look to your left. Look to your right. Tell everybody around you, I've got your back.
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 Okay, now listen, one more thing. The labor movement is about moving big ideas. And there are some people who would say a stadium for the Oakland A's is too big to take on. I say the working class of this city and the people who live here are connected like never before and can take on that stadium and get them to build it somewhere else other than on this dock. So tell your stories. Tell your stories. Get your stories out there about what this dock means to you and how this dock